I saw a live thing on YouTube earlier where somebody was dancing, waiting for the thing to say that they were live. Not going to do that. Not today, anyway. Hi, everybody. How's it going? There are people here, and they're already talking. You guys would do your own thing if I wasn't here, wouldn't you? If I just set this up and didn't do a video but left the chat room, that's fantastic. I love the fact that community grows here and elsewhere. Hello to Frank. Hello to Donna. Hello to Deborah. Hello to Matthew. Matthew, you're in the show today. Hello to Roger and some other people. John. Okay, there's everybody. It's like Romper Room. Look at that. Hey, Rob. Good to see you. Well, show's ruined. I lost my pen. I have another one. It's okay. Right. Why don't we do a thing? How was I going to start it? Oh, I remember. Here we go. Considering freebies, and I am one happy customer. It is Friday, the 23rd of October, 2020, and this is macOS Can Live. Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Ray. Thanking you very much for joining us for this live thing. Wrapping up the week. Happy Friday afternoon to you. Boy, you know, after a long week of sitting inside, not being able to go anywhere, I am really looking forward to a weekend of sitting inside. Coming up on the second half of the show today, I am one happy customer. And here's what's funny. I still don't have the thing I wanted, and yet I am one happy customer. Why might I have been unhappy, and how did the whole thing turn around? We'll talk about that in the second half of the show. First half of the show, though, and we got feedback. And if somebody will remind me here, good thing I have a pen. I'm going to write down one other thing I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, that's quality right there. Right. First half of the show, I want to talk about something that I really kind of didn't want to talk about. I said yesterday during the feedback segment that there was feedback that I was going to save till today. And I really honestly thought I would just go ahead and bury it and not even talk about it today. And then I came across an article on CNBC that brought back up the feedback thing, and it all ties in. So, writer, I mean you no offense. If anything I say ends up sounding like I'm being mean, I don't want it to. But writer on Twitter hit me up one or two times asking the question, why is nobody reporting that Apple has raised the price of all models of iPhone by $38? While it is an even number, $38 might sound like an odd number to you. That's because that's the new cost of the charger, which used to come free, and free is in quotes, free in the box, and the new cost of the headphones. They used to come free in the box. I've heard more than one person say, why are they not talking about the fact that Apple has raised the price? I would counter that you could ask, why is nobody reporting that Apple is getting OLED displays and 5G radios for free? Because even though Apple did raise the price of the iPhone 12 versus the iPhone 11 by $50, they've actually introduced the iPhone 12 mini, which is, what is it, like $100 less, I believe, than the iPhone 12. I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. Here's the thing, though. The iPhone 12 Pro and iPhone 12 Pro Max stay the same price. And the iPhone 12 Pro has twice as much storage as it had at first, so Apple is obviously getting that NAND flash for free. It's got the 5G radio, so Apple is obviously getting that for free. OLED displays for both of those phones, so those must be free. And in fact, they've got LiDAR. Why is nobody talking about the fact that Apple is getting all of these things for free since they didn't raise the price? Obviously, they didn't get them for free. And obviously, the price of the iPhone, I get how from a consumer standpoint, you could argue that the price of the iPhone has gone up by that $38, except that assumes that I have no other way to charge it, that I have no other headphones, and that there is no Amazon. Because if I don't want to pay what Apple is asking for a charger, I can go to Amazon. Personally, I don't, generally speaking. I think I have a couple of chargers that might have come from Amazon, actually. But I worry too much about knockoffs. I worry too much about, fire hazards and things like that. Now, the only reason I bring all this up today is because of a piece that I saw on CNBC. I mean, writer asking his question made me want to respond, but I thought I might just email him or, hit him back up and ask those questions. The piece, though, that got me to go ahead and start talking about it today or talk about it for once today was the thing on CNBC. They claim to be writing up a Deutsche Bank note, and talking about the fact that there are no more freebies in the box and how annoying that must be or how annoying that is for consumers. They didn't even say some might find it annoying. They said it's annoying. Okay. I got more headphones than I know what to do with. I would like more with the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, but that's my cross to bear, or whatever you want to say. Here's where CNBC started to go. Despite Apple's claim that the absence of the plug was a pro-environment move, it's on track to see an uptick in its hardware, accessories, and wearables category thanks to the sale of plugs and new ecosystem it's building around iPhone 12's MagSafe charging system. Okay, first of all, I don't know that wearables, I guess because of, okay, right, they do put the AirPods and the AirPods Pro and the EarPods and all that stuff in the wearables category. So, okay, there may be an uptick there, possibly. I personally think the CNBC piece is kind of a mess because it draws weird lines between or from slowing iPhone sales to growth in the App Store and services to the new hardware being sold. Between the missing plug, $19, missing wired headphones, wireless AirPods start at $159, and the new MagSafe charger, $39 for the iPhone 12. Apple is poised to see a significant boost in accessory sales this quarter. On top of that, Apple has a new $99 version of the HomePod speaker that goes on sale next month, and the Apple Watch is cheaper than ever, starting at $199. This is a mess. I mean, this whole thing is a mess. Now, it's possible wearables, while Apple does talk about wearables, I guess they don't break it out as its own category, do they? Wearables are in other, if memory serves, which is also where HomePod Mini lives. So I guess you can go ahead and lump all those together, but I don't think you can say, well, they took freebies out of the box and Apple's introducing HomePod Mini, so obviously they're trying to screw the consumer. What is this? Sorry. What CNBC says is Deutsche Bank analysts picked up on the potential growth in a research note earlier this week, and this is how they sort of like make the whole thing work together, I guess. While Apple claims, this is from Deutsche Bank, while Apple claims that they are not shipping earphones and a charging cube with the iPhone to save the environment, they are including a charging cord. The reality is that such a decision could drive a financial benefit for the company as well, the Deutsche Bank analyst wrote. I mean, Apple does say outright that they plan to grow a MagSafe ecosystem, right? They do also say that shipping the smaller boxes without the stuff, not as many plastic parts just given away, in the millions, is good for the environment. I have this crazy idea that you can do two things at once. I have this crazy idea, says the guy who ignores the chat room while he's talking because he can't do two things at once. I have this crazy idea that Apple can both save the environment and make a little money on the side. I don't think one necessarily has to do with the other. I mean, witness the fact. Could Apple charge less for the accessories that they used to give away for, quote, free, end quote? Sure. But they also could have kept them at $29 each, which is what they were before they introduced the new iPhone. CNBC chooses to go off on a more conspiratorial angle. There have long been rumors that Apple's ultimate goal, is to remove the charging port on the iPhone like it did for the standard headphone jack, which will in turn drive iPhone owners to buy even more extras for their devices. They didn't remove the headphone jack, they changed the headphone jack. Yes, I wish it was still the way it was, but that's because I'm an audio guy and I like to plug the same headphones into a bunch of different things. I honestly think it is horrible that they don't have a lightning jack on the Mac, because if you're going to give me one set of headphones for my phone, that ought to be the set of headphones that works for everything. Works on my iPad. Actually, my iPad's right there. Works on my iPad, works on my iPhone. Why not go ahead and make that something that works on the Mac as well? Again, though, that's just what I personally want. They did not remove the headphone jack. They changed the headphone jack. And For a number of years, they gave you headphones to make up for the trouble. Personally, I think it creates other trouble, but whatever. I have no doubt that Apple would love to give you a phone that has no jacks at all. I have no doubt that they would love to do that. I can't see that happening for a number of years, maybe never. And I hate to say never, but maybe never. Because at that point, what's going on in France right now? What's going on in France right now is that they have to give away the headphones because they don't want to encourage people who are 14 years old and younger to hold a phone up to their head because they're worried about the radio waves. I think it's interesting that people in France under 14 actually use a phone the way we used to use a phone. But that aside, I think if Apple tried to ship something that you had to buy an accessory for, that's antitrust or anti-competitive or anti-something. That calls down the regulators. If you sell something that doesn't work by itself, heck, go to what Apple says about the App Store. You can't put an app in the App Store that has no functionality outside of buying something else. That's what happened with the Hey email app earlier this year. And sure, we can get into the whole thing about, Apple and fighting with developers, and we're not doing that today. My point is, I don't think Apple would actually ship a phone that you had to buy something else to use properly, like having to buy the MagSafe, for example. If they suddenly shipped a phone with no way to plug in a power port, we would start getting free MagSafe adapters. And that's not going to happen because Apple is setting up a MagSafe ecosystem. Now, going over to the side on that really quickly, the MagSafe ecosystem is potentially an exciting thing. It lets people make interesting cases and interesting charging stands and interesting applications that I am curious to see where that goes. And that's pretty neat because I don't know if you ever got to go to Macworld. There was a whole section of Macworld that was just cases. And pretty much all you could do was the design of the case. You might be able to put a pocket on it. You might be able to put a lens on it or something like that. That piece of glass and silicon and all that stuff, just by putting in the magnets the way they did, they have now opened up whole new ways for third parties to play with that. I find that part interesting. The CNBC piece wraps up by saying maybe Apple is sincere when it says removing standard accessories from the iPhone box is good for the environment. When you're shipping tens of millions of iPhones per quarter with less packaging and plastic, there's sure to be a positive impact on the environment. But at that scale, it also drives iPhone customers to buy more high-margin extras from Apple so that they can get the most out of their iPhone, and that keeps revenues growing. If Apple put all of those freebies in the box, there would still be an uptick in accessories because people are buying new iPhones and new iPads. And you know what people like with their new iPhones and new iPads? New cases and new accessories. I want the MagSafe thing. I have an iPhone 11. I'm not getting the MagSafe thing. The only reason I'm not on the wireless charging thing now is because I kept waiting for AirPower to come out. And now, of course, AirPower isn't coming out. And, I waited for 2 years, so I'm kind of over I got to have that. Spent a week at a friend's house one time who had laid wireless chargers all over his house. And I got really used to that really quickly. Plugging in the lightning connector to charge your phone after you've gotten used to wireless is annoying. Now, it's been a couple of years, so I've forgotten how annoying and I'm fine with it again, but there are gonna be new accessories now anyway because there are new iPhones and there are new iPads. There's nothing completely untrue about the CNBC piece, it's just annoying because it's not completely true either. And I don't think it's an either/or thing. I don't think it's an either/or thing. I think it's going to be good for the environment. And then let's go all the way back to the beginning of how these iPhones have gone up $38, right? Apple says that being able to put more iPhones on the pallets means smaller shipments. Means fewer shipments. They're able to get more iPhones to places without shipping as many. That cuts down on waste. That cuts down on carbon emissions. It's like taking 500,000 cars off the road every year, says Apple. That also saves money. The first 5G iPhones that came out were well over $1,000, like well over $1,000. I said 5G iPhones, I meant 5G smartphones, excuse me. We all thought earlier this year that there were going to be different price ranges on the iPhone. And there are different price ranges on the iPhone, but they're all dictated by size. It was common belief initially that a 5G iPhone was going to cost more. They've done a lot of things that we don't know about, that we can't see. They're not transparent about it. Somehow they brought a tremendous amount more functionality to the iPhone 12 Pro and iPhone 12 Pro Max specifically without raising the price at all. Now, a lot of that has to do with their profit margins. They make beaucoup de bucks over what it costs to make and ship and sell an iPhone, right? They can take a tiny bit of a hit on that. They can also eat into that cost a tiny bit by taking out the freebies. They can also eat into that cost a bit by making it cheaper to ship the things. I don't know why it bugs me. I think honestly it bugs me because it's like I talked about earlier this week. We decide. We see something, that thing, offends something in me or upsets the way I do things, or I'm just not getting what I think I deserve. And so we decide, well, this is obviously, X screwing Y. There could be more than one thing going on. Soapbox, dismount. I'm really curious to see what the East German judge gives me. Hey, coming up in just a minute, we're going to talk about how I turned into a happy customer today. Before we do that, though, I don't even have anything to ask you to do. This is the part of the show where I say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you do this thing? I guess the thing to do would be to hit like and hit share. I mean, that's it. And in the times when I say, hey, I'm going live in 15 minutes, if you wouldn't mind reposting that, that would be great. It's been incredibly gratifying for the people who are not here live, for the people hearing this podcast later. It's been incredibly gratifying to see the number of people here in the chat room turn up. And they're there right now having some conversation that I'm not privy to. It's, I think I said this before I started, it's really fun to watch this community get back together. So for the people listening live now, or the people watching this video later, or the people picking up the podcast, if you can do what you can just to sort of spread the word, because I'm doing what I can to make the word. So if you could spread it. There's a peanut butter joke in there, I'm fairly certain. Right, let's talk about me being a happy customer. A happy customer without the thing that he bought. Man, you've pulled a trick at that point. If you cannot give somebody something for which they have paid and they walk away happy, fair play to you. Things go wrong sometimes. Things go wrong. Last night, I laughingly say last night, this morning, I don't think I saw the sun this morning, but I was up really late. And one of the last things I did before I went to sleep was I updated my Apple Watch to Apple Watch 7.0.3. I'm really looking forward to updating to 7.0.4 next week because that seems to be the way it's going right now. But you know what's happening every time? There's a problem. Apple's going in. They're trying to fix it. I'd like it if I didn't have to do that every 5 days, but okay, that's fine. The other thing is, and this is something we've talked about on the checklist a lot, I don't have automatic updates set up on anything. Now, the guys at the checklist hate the fact that I don't have automatic updates set up on anything because they're concerned that, people forget, and then it's a month later and they haven't updated, and 2 months later, and I'm missing all the security updates and all this stuff, right? I think for the general consumer, that's a genuine concern. I cover Apple news on a daily basis, so I'm probably not going to forget that there's an update. So I don't have automatic updates set up for anything, including my apps. And I've got a lot of apps on my phone, almost none of which I use. So last night, I decided to update all 26 apps that needed updates in my phone. I hit that. And then I tried to set the alarm on my HomePod, and that wouldn't work for some reason. But it's fine because I got an alarm on my phone as well. I wasn't terribly worried about it. Figured I would look into it today. Set the alarm on my phone, went to sleep. When I woke up, well past when my alarm was supposed to go off, my phone hadn't frozen, but it was stuck. For example, there was a thing up at the top that said, "Hey, you're on night mode until about an hour and a half before I woke up." It basically just got itself stuck. And I went in, and it turns out the three of the 26 updates got stuck. And so they needed to be, well, paused. I ended up having to completely restart my phone. It's not a big deal because sometimes things go wrong. Checked Apple News a little bit earlier today, and one of the headlines I saw said Amazon removing Apple Card from payment option. And I thought, well, geez, what are they fighting about? And it turns out it's technically true in that the Amazon site was removing Apple Card, not Amazon was removing Apple Card. Something was going wrong. Headlines did not indicate that, not all of them anyway. One headline I saw said, Amazon says it's a glitch and they're working on it. They actually got that in the headline, that it was a glitch. They got it in the headline. I wonder why everybody else didn't try to get that in the headline. Got me to click. So how does all this make me a happy customer? None of that makes me a happy customer. And this part doesn't make me a happy customer either. The Apple Watch band that I told you about earlier this week, that I was really excited that I thought it came while I was talking to you guys here yesterday, it's gone. It's gone. I've been charged for it. Apple shows that I ordered it. The UPS site says it's going to be delivered. It's in transit, they say. So I called Apple today to find out what's going on. They said, "Do you want the information for UPS?" And I thought, yeah, sure, maybe that'll give me something different. The automated system, of course, they're a very kind automated guy. So I went through the UPS thing and ended up calling them and putting in my tracking number. And they said, it's going to be delivered. This was also automated. It's going to be delivered, they said. And if I wanted more information, and this was great, if I wanted more information, what I needed to do was become a UPS Plus member or something. Basically, I had to sign up for an account with UPS to get information about the thing that they were supposed to deliver 48 hours ago. And so I asked to speak to an operator, but I was talking to a machine and I got booted. At this point, you can imagine I am not a happy customer. So I called Apple back, and their automated system is actually really smart because it said, "How can I help you today?" And I said, "I want to speak to a human being about a lost order." And I really thought that that wouldn't work. And instead, what the automated service did was it verified me. It said, "Are you calling about this order?" And I said, "Yes." And it said, "Hold on, I'll get someone." Already, I'm happier than I've been through any of this, right? Talked to Tanisha, who was wonderful. And I left still not knowing when my Apple Watch band is coming. But she has put in a thing complaining about the fact that it was lost. Not complaining. She's instigating an investigation on the shipment, I believe is what she said. And then she wanted to give me something for my trouble. And I told her not to. I said, "No, don't, please," because, I mean, honestly, all I wanted was to know that somebody was looking into it. She was actually trying to find out if she could get me the watch band for free. It turns out with accessories, you can't do that. And I said, "Seriously, don't worry about it." So what she ended up doing was giving me a coupon. I think it's like $15 off something over to $100, $30 off for something over $200, and $45 for something $300 or $400. I can't remember which. I've got that till the end of the year. And I thought, well, this is a very nice gesture. I'm not buying anything that this is going to affect. And then I remembered I'm getting a HomePod Mini. So now I'm getting a HomePod Mini for $15 less. Or am I? Because the $15 is only good for something that's $100 or more. And the HomePod Mini is how much? $99. I'm still happy though. I really appreciated she went above and beyond. And, you can say Apple always does that. I don't know if Apple always does that or not because I don't usually have this kind of problem with Apple. I know back in the day they did. I don't know if they do today. I've heard people say it's not what it used to be. What is? I was very impressed with what she did. I'm a happy customer. She asked me if I wanted my money back or if I wanted just them to replace the watch band if they can't find the other one. And I was like, yeah, replace the watch band. I ordered it. I want the thing I, asked for. And then we happily hung up. I'm a happy customer. Let's do some feedback really quickly, and then we'll say have a good weekend to everybody and each other. Scott wrote to me to talk about the Uptown store. This was the one I told you about in Minneapolis yesterday. I also talked about it a bit more on macOS Ken. I think there were some notes that I missed yesterday, like the number of retail stores that have closed around there and the number of restaurants that have closed around there before COVID and before the George Floyd riots and unrest. Scott wrote in to say, thanks for the update on the Uptown store. It's been boarded up since the post-Floyd riots, and I've been wondering about its future. Now I know. Before Apple opened that store, the first in the Twin Cities, he says, the local go-to Apple retailer was an independent shop half a mile up the road. First Tech, it was called. It was where I bought my first iPod, and I supported them all I could until Apple's store forced them to close. Thought you'd be interested, said Scott. Honestly, what I would be interested in, Scott, and it would be depressing, would be a book. I was thinking about this, actually, a book or maybe a documentary. Hey, somebody get Ron Howard on the phone. See if he wants to make an Imagine documentary for Apple TV Plus about all the mom and pop Apple stores that got railroaded by Apple. Remember when Apple told all the mom and pop stores, "Don't worry, we won't be within several miles of your stores." Those were days. I had asked yesterday if somebody could write to me, or if all of you could write to me and tell me about your iPhone 12 buying experience. I got one email back. Matthew had a bit of trouble with his. Say, hey, Matthew, iPhone came safe and sound. However, although I remembered to take the iOS beta profile off my 11 Pro so I could transfer seamlessly to the 12 Pro, I forgot that it doesn't take it from 14.2 back to 14.1. Couldn't figure out why it would not complete the device to device transfer. I kept having to try to start over. Also, it won't import the iCloud profile to the new phone. He did resolve the issue, though. Picked a manual startup instead. Didn't import anything. Opted into the iOS 14.2 public beta, then erased the phone. Keeps 14.2, but it won't have the beta profile installed. And voila! It allowed me to move everything to the new phone from the old one. I did have to change the name of the new phone from iPhone 11 Pro to iPhone 12 Pro because it basically cloned the old phone. The old phone. Then I had to go to the Sprint website and have them activated. He says, too, that he actually lives in a place that has 5G. He's got 3 bars in his apartment, but he's not doing anything right now to really test it. So he can't tell me about that. 3 bars, though, you know what I used to call that? A good night. It's a stupid joke. Finally, Joe on Twitter wrote in, I'm with you, Joe. I'm with you on this. Now I'm going to tell everybody what we agree on together. The iPhone naming will change soon, he says. I don't think it's actually going to change, but he does think that the naming is a mess. iPhone 12 sounds silly, he says. Do they really want iPhone 13 or 23? What should they do? What should they do indeed? Honestly, I like the idea of naming them after the year. But then you're talking about, well, iPhone 20, iPhone 21, iPhone 23 eventually. Also kind of like the idea of just calling it iPod, or excuse me, iPhone. Yeah, just call it iPod. Nobody will notice. I like the idea of just calling it iPhone. And you go in, you get the iPhone that's right for you. You go in and get the iPhone that you need. You don't worry about if it's 12 or whatever. I felt like they were doing that with iPad, and then they came out with iPad Air 4. So I guess they're not doing that with iPad. Mildly messy. Honestly, where it gets messy is when you buy the big one, the iPhone 12 Pro Max. There ought to be a better way than that. But maybe you only care when you're buying it. And then afterwards, you just have your phone. Honey, have you seen my iPhone 12 Pro Max? No. Have you seen my phone? That's it. It's only a problem, what, once a year? Or, if you're like most people, once every 3 years when it's time for you to buy an iPhone. Right. I think that's going to do it. I don't know what your plans are for the weekend. I might actually try going someplace. Not with people, of course, because They're scary. Got a Mac OS Ken to work on. Got in a few minutes coming up to work on for next week, of course. And we'll do this again next week, too. What do you say? If you're here live in the chat room, please stay in the chat room. I will be there momentarily. If you're not here live, we would love it if you would join us. This happens every Monday through Friday, 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern, other times, other places. Call your cable company and ask. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about really quickly. Oh, but we're out of time. Oh, but I'll do it really quickly. Boy, was Bruce Springsteen Day great on Apple Music TV. I only watched 10 minutes of it, but man, it was 1982 again. That's all I got. We can talk more about that. Anything you've heard here, if you want to leave feedback, do it on this video or email me info@macosken, info@macosken.com. I hope you have a great weekend, and we will talk soon. Sorry, I'm making noise at you. I'm stopping my recording, and then I'm going to get my glasses, my coffee, and then we're going to find out what you guys have been saying, because you guys have been talking, guys and gals. Sorry, shouldn't be like that. Hey, Mac Interactive is here. Way to call out that dude. Somebody asked in trivia, I'm sorry, and not call him out, but somebody asked on Twitter today, they were like, okay, everybody, there is one place, one country that's going to have headphones. What country is it? And Mac Interactive went on Twitter. He was like, France. And I know that because I listen to Mac OS Ken. You're a rock star. All right, let's see what else is here. Or who else is here? Holy cow. You know, it was always my hope that one day the chat would get too big for me to actually go back and address everything. Today is that day. Mark your calendar, 23rd of October. Kind of a big day. Big day, why? Because On the Rocks with Rashida Jones and Bill Murray hits Apple TV Plus. And also new iPhones. I'm sorry, now it's just me sitting here reading because I want to try to figure out. Okay, I was curious about that. Deborah said she had an ankle. Turns out she meant an anchor. That makes more sense to me. I have two ankles, one of which is giving me trouble. Oh, the joys of being 39 for the 11th year in a row. The environmental aspect is a fair argument. It's an additional argument. Here's the thing. I mean, if they say that's the only reason they're doing it, they're lying. I shouldn't say that. That might actually be the only reason they're doing it. I don't believe they would honestly say, if you got them in a room, that it's the only benefit. It's a legit argument, especially from a company that's been buying forests so that they can manage those forests, so they can make sure that the paper they're putting out is actually sustainable, right? It's a legit argument, I think. Hey, Web Bixby's here. I got your email, Web. Sorry I didn't get to write back to you. I'm glad you're here. And I'm sorry that I happened to have scheduled this for a time that you can't normally be here. It took a long time to try to figure out a good time for it. Wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be on at the same time as Tom Merritt. Not because I think I'm going to steal from Tom Merritt or vice versa, but just because he's a friend, and that seems like a horrible way to be. I try not to program against people I know. The other thing is I want to make sure that, you know, both coasts can be covered. And it's available as a podcast, so you get to listen later as well. Did we meet Webb? Because everybody's like, yeah, I met him at Macworld. And I was at Macworld several times. Just curious. You hear that truck? That could not be my watch band. Looks like lots of arguments about the accessories. UPS My Choice. That's it. Yes, it's free, Matthew. Sorry. So I went into the thing. And UPS said, if you want more detailed information, join UPS My Choice. You know what that is? If you want more information on the service I'm supposed to provide you, give me more information about you. Sorry, this is too much of the checklist in me. I don't feel like giving UPS my email address so they can tell me how they lost my watch band and why. What I want from them is when am I going to get it? Not to sound awful. I was really put off by the fact that Apple has paid them for a service. They have proven unable to provide that service in this one instance. I should not have to pay them with my personal information to find out why I can't have the thing that they were contracted to deliver. I don't mean to get all your head up, but you don't get my personal information because you messed up. Hey, Ken, get Apple Care with your HomePod. Instantly over $100. That's nice, John. I like that. I was actually trying to think about, is there another accessory that I might want too? But yes, because Apple Care for the HomePod Mini, I think is like $8, $10. So yes, that kicks me over. Thank you very much. That's a good idea. Feels kind of weird to get Apple Care for a HomePod though, because I'm not going to be carrying it anyplace. But well, come to think of it though, if it's $15, then am I saving anything? I don't know. I'm hoping that just the tax is enough to kick it over and then they let me take the $15 off. Rob's waiting for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I think I might be about done here, only because I've lost the thread. Yeah, I'm with you on the Apple Care, John. And generally speaking, the HomePod I didn't. I mean, I did on my Mac and I do on my iPhone. I don't remember if I did it on my iPad or not, honestly. I think I might have. I don't know. Anyway, I took out my glasses as if I was suddenly going to be able to read. Wow, that's a crazy idea, Matthew, and I kind of like it. On the naming thing that we were talking about online, maybe for future iPhones, they could do a Cabbage Patch Kids dolls naming scheme. Each one will have its own name and comes with official adoption papers. Like its own name, you mean? Or do you mean like you buy a model of it? I like the idea of that, actually. You're just going to eventually evolve the iPhone back into a gigapet. I also love that idea. Right. You guys are wonderful. I got to go grocery shopping. So I'm going to get off this thing, turn it back around into an audio podcast so other people can hear it. And then I'm going to bounce. You need anything? I'm picking up a loaf of bread, bottle of milk, stick of butter. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And let's do it again Monday.